Hello everyone, welcome to the section. So, as you know all, this is our fifth preparation section for TCS Codevita. We have already done with four sections including the orientation part. Here also I'll solve some one to two questions, which is a previously asked questions in the same Codevita examination. So I have taken some two questions which we will be solving here. So first I will explain you the question, then I will explain the logic. So after the logic explanation, I'll start doing the code. So for this particular section, I am preferring Java. So if you want to do the code in any other languages, you can proceed as you like because all the languages are enabled here in Codebita. So the duration, obviously, it will be like 6 questions per 6 hours. So like it will take nearly 1 hour to complete all the explanation part and complete doing the code for one question. So I have taken two questions. We will see. So let us move to the question directly. So here is my very first question. Yeah. So race is generally organized by distance, but this race will be organized by time. In order to predict the winner, we will check every 2 seconds. Let's say total race time is 7 seconds. We will check for 7 minus 1 second. So for 7 seconds, we will check who's leading it 2 second and 4 second and 6 seconds because every 2 seconds we need to check. So a participant who's leading more number of times is a winner from a prediction perspective. Now our task is to predict a winner in this marathon. So I hope the question is clear for you people, right? So here the question is, we need to predict a winner in the marathon and this race is organized by time, not by distance. So in order to predict the winner, what we need to do is we need to check for every 2 seconds. So let's say if the total race time is 2 seconds, right? So we will be checking for every 2 seconds. So in the second, we will check who's leading. And in the fourth second, we will check who's leading. And also in the sixth second, we will check who's leading. Because see, every 2 seconds we are checking. So even the total number of seconds is odd. So I'll be checking for the even number of times. Because every 2 seconds I'm taking into account, right? So n minus 1. If n is odd, n minus 1 second I'll be taking. So if it is 7 seconds, I'll be taking 7 minus 1 second. So totally 6 seconds. 3 times I'll check. Because every 2 seconds I need to check. So, the winner is someone who's leading more number of times from the prediction perspective. So, say for example, a person is leading for 2 times out of this three, no other person is leading for 2 times, then he will be the winner. So, who is leading more number of times is a winner. So, here we are not calculating the distance, we are calculating the time. That is a difference. Now, there are some constraints or nodes is there which we need to take care of it. So at particular time, let's say at 4th second, okay, the top two participants are at the same direction. Then in this case, both are leading. We will increase the count for both, right? So say for example, we have n number of players, right? And at one particular time of period, like one particular second, if the participants are in the same direction, then I'll be giving the count for both of the players. So if A and B are there, if A and B are at the same position at the same time, then we should give each point to each person. What is the second point? After calculating all the time slices, if number of times someone is leading is same for two or more participants, then one who come first in input sequence will be the winner. So after calculating all the things, right? So if we are taking some number of times, right? So if number of times someone is leading, the same for two or more participants, the one who comes first in input sequence will be the winner. So we are getting an input in a particular sequence, right? So let's say for example, we are getting the players in the name of A, B, C, D, E. If B and C are having the same number of winning time, like based on the number of times, if both are leading for the same number of times, even though like we will be taking the first input sequence person, that is the player B. And if participant 2 and 3 are both leading with the same number, participant 2 will be the winner. So this is all about the question, right? So I hope everyone is clear with the question, right? Are you clear with the question, everyone? Now I'll show you the input format and output format. Here, the first line contains a single integer n, which denoting the number of participants. And in the second line, we have total time in seconds of this marathon. Next n line will be the participants. We have t plus 1 integer separated by the space. So that t represents the total time in seconds for the marathon. So here, see, the first line represents a number of participants. That is, here 3 represents the 3 number of participants and 8 represents the total time in seconds. So 8 times are there, right? So that is what here. And next n line represents a, for each participant, we have t plus 1 integer separated by the space. So for 3 participants, right? So this is the time seconds of the first participant, second row time seconds of the second participant, and third row time seconds of the third participant. So this is how it is. Now here, what does that represents? The first t integers, right? What does it represent is, each integer denotes the number of steps taken by the participant at the ith second. So t plus first integer denotes the distance in meters of each step. So this is all about the input format. So number of participants, then total time in seconds, number of time in seconds, and then we have the number of steps taken by the participant, and finally the distance in meters. So this is what we have for each participant. So since we have 3 participants here, 3 number of rows, right? So here we can see the explanation of it. So you can go through this explanation once. So first 3 represents the number of participants. Next 8 represents the total time of sprint in seconds. So this is the data for first candidate. First 8 integers denotes the number of steps per second, and last integer denotes the distance covered in each step, that is 3. Similarly for the second candidate data and third candidate data. So we have the number of steps per second, and last integer denotes the distance covered in each step. So 3 is the distance covered in each step. Second candidate covered 2 in each step. Third candidate covered 4 in each step. Right? And at time 2, that is for after every 2 seconds we need to check, right? So second marathoner is leading. So if you see the second participant, so let's take the second participant here. So if you see the details of the second candidate, like the number of steps per second and the distance covered in each step, so we can find the second marathon is leading. And then for the fourth second, here also the same person is leading. So how we are calculating it? So we have the number of steps and we have the distance covered, right? So by applying the formula, we can find who's leading. So that we are finding it over here. And finally, at the time 6, that is the 6th second, who's leading, right? So here 3 things we have taken: second, 2 seconds, after 4 seconds, after 6 seconds. So in the 2 time period, second marathoner is leading, and in the 1 time period, third marathoner is leading. Like, so here the output will be 2. So 2 is the winner. So this is how the question and the input format is. So now I hope everyone is clear with the question and input format, right? See, I'll explain the question again. Now, with the input, I'll explain. Yeah. So here, the task is to predict the winner of a marathon based on the intermediate results calculated every 2 seconds, right? So here, each participant's progress is calculated based on 2 things. One is the number of steps taken, and second one is the distance covered by each step. So how we are going to find the winner? Based on the calculation of distance. So at each 2 second interval, we will calculate the total distance covered by each participant. So how we can find the total distance? Steps in current second plus steps in previous second into distance per step. So this will give you the thing, right? Here the thing which they have did is say number of steps in current second and steps in previous second. So I'll give you the logic part here. So how we are going to find the distance, calculation of distance, right? So at each 2 second interval, we need to calculate the total distance covered by each participant. So how we are going to calculate the distances? The formula to find the distance is equal to steps in current second plus steps in previous second. So steps in current second plus steps in previous second. So I'm adding these 2 things, and in addition to that, I need to multiply it with the distance per step. Right. So this is the thing I need to find. So for each interval, for each 2 seconds, I'll be calculating the distance of each participant. So for each interval, determine the participant leading with the maximum distance covered. So who is getting this distance as maximum, he will be leading. That's it. So using this formula, steps in current second plus steps in previous second into distance per step, I will apply this formula for all the n number of participants in the input format, and for each participant I will calculate the distance. And for each time interval, I will find the distance and I will find who is leading. Right. So at the end of the race, so if if multiple participants are leading, all their score should be incremented. So we have seen the condition, right? So if two persons are having the same distance, I need to increment the count for both the persons. Right. At the end of the race, the participant who has been leading the most number of time is declared the winner. Right. So finally, after incrementing, each participant will be having certain count. So whose count is maximum, he will be the winner. That's it. If some two persons are having the same count, and I'll check with the input order. In the input order, who is coming first, he will be the winner. That's it. Now, are you clear with the question, everyone? Are you clear with the question, everyone? So now think the coding part and try to do the code for the same. So I have given you the logic part, right? So it is very simple based on the number of steps in the current second and based on the number of steps in the previous second as well as the distance covered per each step. I need to calculate the distance covered by each participant. After that, I will find out who covered the maximum distance. For those persons, I will give a count. That is, I'll increment its count. If two persons are having the same distance, for both the persons, I will increment the count. Finally, I will check who's having the maximum count. He will be the winner. There also, if some two persons are having the same count, I will check the input format that whose input I have got from the user first. So he will be the leading one, right? So that particular participant alone I'll be printing, like whether it is a first participant or second or third, that's it. So are you clear with the question, everyone? Now you people can start doing the code. I'll give you some 5 minutes of time to do the code. Now let us start doing the code here. So first I need to import the header java.util.start. I'll take the main class public static void main string arguments of. So I need to create the scanner class in order to get the input from the user. So for that I am creating a scanner class and I have created a scanner object sc. So scanner is equal to new scanner of system dot in. So now I need to first get the number of test cases, time, seconds, participants, everything, right? So for that, let me declare some variables. So let me take the test cases and then time. Okay, let me take test case, then time, and I need to get the seconds and then the participants, and I'll initialize a variable in order to store the result. I'll start it from -1. So first I need to get the test case from the user. So using this scanner object, I will get the input from the user. It is an integer input. Similarly, I'll get the time also from the user dot next int of. So after getting this number of test cases and number of times, basically I'll be creating an array on this, right? So inside this array only I'll be able to get the next things, right? The participants, if for each interval the distance covered, everything. So for that, let me declare a 2D array. So int array is equal to new int of. So first one based on the number of test case, and next one my time plus 1, because the index position starts with 0. So I need to run 2 loops for int I equal to 0, I less than the test case, and I plus plus. Similarly, for int j equals to 0, j less than my time plus 1, and j plus plus. So inside this I need to get the array input. Array of I, j is equal to sc dot next int of. So after this, now I got the input array. After this, two things I need to take to new array. One is the sum, the distance covered by each participant, right? And other one in order to store the winner, because for each interval I will be checking. So I can store all those results inside an array, and finally it is easier for me to find the maximum count inside that. So for storing the sum, let me take an array sum list of. So new int of the size would be the test case size only, and similarly I'll be taking the next one. So that is for winner is equal to new int of test case. So here let me run a loop for int I is equal to 0, I less than my test case, and I plus plus. Inside this I'll be initializing both the values as 0 at the starting phase. So for all the variables, like for all the numbers, I'll be initializing both the values as 0. Then only I can increment it, right? It should have some by default value. So I'm initializing it as 0. And here, so for this answer, let me take a variable answer. Here I'll be storing the minimum value because I need to find the maximum value. So I will take the integer minimum value and I'll be comparing the next value with this, so that based on that I can change it out. Now for I'll be getting the seconds, right? For each second I need to do it. So I'll be starting from second and I'll increment it with 2. So initially the value of second is 2, and my second should be less than or equal to my time until the total time I need to do it, and second I'll be incrementing 2 times. So plus is equal to 2. Inside this, let me take a variable 0 for iterating it, and here in order to find the maximum value I'll be initializing it starting phase. So let me give a size of 100 and all simply. So now for the participants, I can find it out. So I'll be start running the same from 0. So for 0 and until my number of test cases I need to do it. So since I'm starting from 0, less than my test cases, and I'll incrementing the value over here. So inside this, I'm going to apply the logic. So what is a logic actually? As I told you already, I need to find the sum. How I'll be finding the sum? The previous second and current second. So previous second means second is already initialized at 2, right? So here the participation as well as the second, it is present in the 2D array, like in that array which we got as an input from the user. So sum list of my participant value. So in this I'll keep on adding. So how I'll be adding? First in that array I need to give Pn and second minus 2, that is a previous second, as well as I need to add the current second. So Pn and second minus 1. So I'm adding the previous second as well as the current second, and in addition to this I need to multiply it with the distance. So what is the distance? Split into time, right? So in that array of my Pn value as well as my time here, right? Now I have initialized a variable in order to store the maximum values, right? So for that I have taken a variable that is k. So in this value I will keep on storing this particular level. So for each time interval I will keep on storing it here. So this is what I am doing inside this particular for loop. So once this is done, let me take a variable value as 1 because I need to next increment the count, right? So I need to find a maximum value. So for that, let me run a loop from 0 till k, because k is a variable which is used as a size for storing the maximum value. So for int, let me take I is equal to 0 and I less than k as well as I plus plus. Right. So inside this, I'll be checking whether my value is less than the maximum value or not. So maximum of I or not. So suppose if this condition is getting satisfied, I can change the maximum value to that value. So in that value, I will replace it with this value, maximum of I. That's it. Right. Now, each term I'll be checking whether it is equal or not. So if it is equal, what I'm supposed to do? I can increment the winner count. So for int I is equal to 0, again I'll be running I less than my test case and I plus plus. So inside this, I'll say if the value, if it is equal to maximum of I. If the value, sorry, here it should be bracket. So I'll be checking the condition. So whether it is equal to the value which is stored or not. So if it is equal, the array, that winner array, right? I need to increment for that particular index position. I'll be incrementing it, right? Now again, I need to check the same thing. So I'll be checking this condition. But instead what I'll do here it is, I'll be checking whether the answer is, I have taken a variable, right? Whether it is lesser than this particular part or not. So is this lesser than answer is lesser than winner of I or not. So if it's so, I will change this to answer is equal to winner of I. And after that, I'll store the value of I in result. Now again here the final thing will be in the result. So system dot out dot print. I will be printing the result as it is. That's it. 26 has an error. Second equal to 2. Okay, sorry. Thank you. So I guess it is done. We'll see. 37th line. Okay, let me give again it is same once again. Okay, here it should be like -1. I'll be starting it with only one line. If this condition is satisfied, I'll take this. Then I'll be closing it out. So inside here I'm starting it with, and the for loop I'm closing it here, and then again another for loop I'm closing it there itself. Okay, and then another for loop inside this I'm getting it. Okay, here it is opened. Fine. So even without bracket it should work here because we have only single line. Okay, let me take this part as it is. If winner, here it should be closed, and here it should be closed. The ninth line, int array of equal to new int of test cases. It is test case which I got from the user. Again in the 14th line it should be the capital int I. And again the 29th line okay, in the maximum of an array. Yeah. So now the error are cleared. So first you can go through the code once, and then we will try giving the input and check. So here Let me explain with the code once and then later you can check. So if you see the code here, this test case now, it represents a number of participants and the time represents a total race, that is a duration in seconds, and the array ARR, that is a 2D array where each row represents like corresponds to a participant. So the first t integer, that is a time, right? T integer denote the number of steps per second. So the t plus ith integer denotes the distance covered in meters per step. So first I am taking like a two arrays, sum list and winner. So the sum list tracks cumulative distances covered by each participant and winner counts the number of times each participant leads at any time slice. Then I am calculating the distance. So for each time slice, that is an interval of 2 seconds, right? We need to compute the distance for each participant. So we need to determine the maximum distance, and after finding the maximum distance, we will increment the count of that winner count for all the participants matching the maximum distance. So once the value which I found out, right, if it is matching with the maximum value, then I can increment the count for all the winners. That is what I am doing it here. And this is the part to determine who's the winner. So in order to determine the winner, I will compare the winner array to find the participant who led the most number of times. So if there is a tie, right, the participant appearing first in the input wins. So for that only I have taken those arrays. And finally, so here I'm storing I, right? So while printing, I should print result plus 1 because this I represents the index position, whereas if I want to print that what thing, that participant number, right, it should be plus 1. So now you can check the code once. So this is the input format. This is the two arrays I'm getting. So here exactly the distance calculation and then finding the winner. So now you can go through the code once and let me know is it clear or not. So this is the code. So again, I'm repeating. First, I'm getting the inputs from the user. That includes the number of participants, the number of test cases that represents the number of participants, and then we have the time for each participants and the distance covered in each second. So using all this information, first we need to find the distance covered by each participant. So after calculating the distance covered by each participant, we find out which is the maximum distance and who covered it. So for that participant, we will give an incrementation in count. So finally, who's having the maximum count? He's the leading one, right? Only two things which we need to take care is, if two persons are covering the same distance, we can increment the value for both the persons. And if two persons at finally, if they are having the same incremented count, we can check in the input who is coming first. So based on that order, we can print the output finally. That is what we did here. So I hope everyone is clear with the question. So you can go through the question and code and check with the test cases. Random test cases, you can check it manually, or you can check this code with the test cases which is here, like in the thing. And you can check, are you getting the correct output or not. So once you're done with this question, here is your next question. So given a staircase, find the total number of ways to reach the nth stair from the bottom of the stair, where a person is only allowed to climb either one or two stairs at a time. Assume he is standing on the zeroth step. See, this is one famous question which you can find in Codevita examinations and even in other programs also, the staircase problem. So here the only one thing is, we need to find how many ways I can reach the destination from the starting point. So now n number of steps will be there. I need to find in how many ways I can reach the 10th step. Say for example, starting from the 0th one or first one. So only one constraint or the condition which we need to follow here it is, I am allowed to climb either one or two stairs at a time. So either I can go with one step at a time, or I can go with two steps at a time. So either we can go like all the single steps, like all the steps with the single one, or even if I want, I can go with all the things with the two, or one, two mixed, or two, one mixed, anyhow. So our ultimate aim, it should be the total number of ways to reach the nth star. So we need to find all the possibilities of the number of ways to reach the destination based on the condition, like we are going with the one step at a time or two step at a time. That's it. So here we have the input. So basically, like this question is a question which is based on recursion. So recursion is something where the function calls itself repeatedly, right? So inside this, we can what get the output for the thing. So first you can go through the question and you can take the input sample second test case. That is, if the number of steps is 4, 5 number of ways is there. So first we will try to figure it out how the output is 5 for the input 4. Then we will move to the coding part and the logic explanation part. So first you can see how we are getting the output 5 for the input 4. That is, if the number of steps is 4, how I am getting the output is 5. So I can go either one step at a time or two steps at a time. So how I'm reaching the destination part. That is the main thing here. So the number of ways they have given it as 5. If so, what are all those number of ways? What are all those 5 ways which I can use to reach the destination part? First, how we are getting the number of ways as 5 here? So, one way is I can go with 1, 1, 1, 1. If not, 2 and 2. That is the another way. Then I can go with 1, 2, 1. If not, 2, 1, 1. If not, 1, 1, 2. So how many ways I got? 5 number of ways I got, right? See, here my input is 4. So I can either go with 1, 1, 1, 1. Like I'll take each step at a time, one step at a time, and I'll reach the fourth step. If not, 1, 1. If not, I can go with 2 steps at 2 time. Then also I'll be reaching the fourth step. Sorry. If not, I can go with 1 step, then 2 steps. So 3 is done, and again 1. If not, I can go with 2 step, then 1 step and 1 step. If not, I can go with 1 step, then 2 steps. So altogether we have 5 number of ways to reach the nth destination. So this is the problem, right? So I hope you are clear with the question. Is it clear with the question? So here we can use a concept of memorization. Why? Because for the same step multiple times, we don't want to recalculate the values, right? So we can store the results like which is already done, already completed steps in an array. And again, we can reuse the results from the catchy instead of recomputing it. So waste of like recalculation again. So instead of recalculating again, you can keep a track of the number of ways for these particular number of steps. So here using recursion, if you do right, so based on the number of steps. So what if there is only one step is there? What if there is only two steps? So certain things we will do, right? So if not, that is different. So both the ways I need to use. So first you can check the base condition, and based on the base condition, like what if the number of steps is 0 or what if the number of steps is 1 or 2. So for this we can return the values directly. If not, we can go with adding 1 and 2 with the current step. Why? Because in the question it is clearly mentioned that we can go with either one step at a time or two steps at a time. So if I'm including that condition, so I'll be adding the number of ways in such a way that where I'll be one step I'll add, or I'll be taking two steps at a time.